So I think you need to divide then the footwear into different parts. So of course, initially started out with Chapter 11 from our license partner that ended up being bankruptcy. And of course, us then dealing with liquidators and lawyers, trying to find whatever stock was available, calling customers that we never spoke to before to recover as much business as possible in Europe. And I think that has gone according to plan. What we can see in the Q2 report is that our margin is getting a bit of a hit, and that is due to one-off discounts. Because of course, this negotiation with the lawyers took a bit of time, so the footwear has been delayed. And in order to still then have the retailers receiving the goods, we offer them additional discounts so they can continue then doing footwear business. And that is impacting the gross margin. However, of course, if you look at the P&L, we see massive sales uplift. So in Q2, plus 199%. Year-to-date plus 35%. But even though I think the integration has gone very, very good and according to plan, it's merely the beginning of the beginning. So of course now it's about building an organization, creating the footwear ourselves. We need to review our distribution. Our view is that the whole footwear collection needs to be improved in terms of quality and also in terms of price points to better match our other categories. So it's a long road ahead, that's clear, but massive, massive potential. The category as such is as big as the apparel category. So we have huge hope for the future. That is a bit of a trick question. So of course, we have our financial targets. And of course, my job is to over-deliver those. And currently we're doing that, which is fantastic. We don't try to get into having clear forecast externally. So we don't really talk about what targets we have this year or next year or 3 years ahead. But we want to have this rolling financial approach instead. But of course, with footwear being integrated, with all the work that has been done with sports apparel, with our focus to grow in Germany, with efforts to get some traction at marketplaces, there is plenty of growth initiatives that we're currently exploring. And of course, if you would ask me, my ambition is much, much higher than what we have currently performed. That's crystal clear. And well, there's just simply no limits to what we could accomplish with a bit of luck, of course, hard work and continuing to focus to build this sports fashion brand that we've been doing now for a fairly long time. So of course, e-com, as we've been talking about for a fairly long time, is one of our key channels for a number of different reasons. Of course, one is that that's where we can interact directly with end consumers. And by doing so, of course, we can learn a lot that we then can apply to other channels. Also, we believe that we want to increase our share of direct-to-consumer business because that's really about taking control over your own destiny. So that remains a very high priority channel. And of course, during the last 3 years, we have been having exceptional growth on e-com. So on one hand, it's fairly tough comparable numbers versus last year's Q2. It requires a lot of investments. And during Q2, we did a couple of tests, I could say. So one is that we reduced discount quite heavily. We also started the clearance, the summer clearance a bit later. And of course, those had an impact on the net sale growth that are lower than what we would want it to be. But of course, the flip side is that we increased profitability, both in absolute numbers, but also, of course, in ratios. So we can clearly see that the balance between driving growth, but also, of course, carefully invest. We need to be better at optimizing that. We continue to believe that we should have a double-digit e-com growth, given the focus that the channel has for us. So I think it's clear, one of the challenges or perhaps the less good things with the Q2 report is the margin, even though it was anticipated and expected, because of course the biggest margin hit in Q2 is related to footwear. Again, a lot of one-off discounts impacted the gross margins together, of course, with two things that we cannot control, which you've already highlighted. We should perhaps take them out, but the currency is working against us, and also, of course, the container prices are increasing. The job for us, of course, is to review our channels. So, of course, depending on where we sell a product, has a massive impact on the margin. So, of course, e-com, we're trailing around 70% gross margin. Wholesale is close to 50. So, depending on where it's being sold, that's have a massive impact. And of course, also the category split. So, whether it's an underwear, whether it's sports apparel, whether it's for performance or leisure. So, all those things impact. I think the biggest focus for us right now is really to spend time on footwear, because that has been the category during Q2 that's really dragged the gross margin down. And here the focus is, of course, to increase that through better products, higher RRPs, better distribution, lower discount. So we're very optimistic when it comes to gross margins going forward, if we exclude then those things that we cannot control, such as the currency. It's very easy. So number one is footwear. And there is this tendency, when you take something over like footwear or you start something new, you think you're done before you're done. So of course, that's a massive risk. So of course, we need to remind myself and the entire organization that even though Q2 was fantastic, integration has gone really, really well, the team has been exceptionally good in handling all these changes, we're not done. It's just the beginning of the beginning. So we need to continue to spend time on footwear to reposition, rebuild that entire category. So that's number one. The second one, of course, is to really review the gross margin development. Again, here is review the channels, the categories, how can we better optimize our products and in which channel those are being sold in order to get closer to the 55% gross margin that is our ambition. And the last one, which is the same focus I have all the time, is to make sure and maintain the high focus of everyone in the organization understanding and buying into our long-term vision. And of course, that is to create a global, iconic sports fashion brand. We've just started that journey. Q2 was great. Hopefully the course ahead will be fantastic, but the journey ahead is long, it's going to be steep, full of challenges, and we have a long way to go. But we're slowly making traction and progress every quarter. And of course, looking back, first half year, there's just a lot of different victories we're celebrating. But again, it's just the beginning of the beginning. We're just getting started here. The potential in the brand is just enormous. So we're just ready and fired up to get the next quarter flying as well.